Hello. I've been expecting you, Mr. Bond. This is midnight. She doesn't often come in the studio. Hello, everybody. It's Mark Attwood. Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Hope you're great. Waiting for the shit to go down. So while we're waiting for all that, you know, a lot of you guys are waiting for med beds and things like that. And they're not here yet. So we have to look at other things. And I really love looking at other things. And you know how things pop up in your consciousness? Well, I think it was about 18 months ago, I came across this thing called the Harmonic egg. And I actually thought about getting one and opening a healing center, but God had different plans for me. So, and then I did the event in Manchester, and then this lovely lady, Maria, comes up to me with a leaflet for the Harmonic egg and said, "You got to come and try this." And I was like, shit, yeah, I have. So I did. So before Christmas, I went down to Chester in England, northwest England, and I had a session in the egg, and now I'm bringing Maria on to talk. Marie, sorry, Maria. I'm shit with names. To talk about the egg. How you doing, Marie?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm ecstatic to be here. And the cat, I think the cat's picking up on the vibe of the egg. That's what it must be. She hasn't sat on my lap in ages on a show. Have you? Have you? Look. Show everybody how cute you are. This is the cat that I manifested. Did I ever tell? I've probably never told anybody this story, but I had a dream about a black cat about 4 years ago. Like, it woke me up. I was like, what? Why am I dreaming about a black cat? And then the next day, in front of the headlights, this black cat ran in front of the headlights. And then that night at midnight, she was at my bedroom window. And I didn't open the bedroom window. I was like, I don't want a cat. I don't even like cats. And then she went to another bedroom window and got let in the house, and she's not left me alone ever since. Aww. And she's gorgeous. Anyway, enough about my cats. The egg. Let's talk about this egg, because you are the sole UK distributor, and you're the first person in the British Isles, I think the first person in the British Isles to install one and run it as a business, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So firstly, let's tell everybody what the egg does, and then we'll go into why you made this crazy move to get one, because it looks like you're on the set of Star Trek. It's like it looks like one of those little ships that go off with James T. Kirk in it. Anyway, what's the egg do?
So first of all, the egg, as you can see behind me, is a light and sound vibrational frequency chamber that you immerse yourself inside of, that creates the environment to heal the mind, the body, and expand consciousness.
I was about to make a quip that it didn't work on me because I'm still a mess. But no, I mean it's an extraordinary thing to be in. But did you when you decided to buy one of these, had you actually experienced it before you bought it?
No, because to be honest, the way I came about it was a little bit left field, really, in that I was concerned at the time, sort of like 4 years ago, about the levels of stress and anxiety in our teenagers. I've got 2 kids myself, and I felt like everybody that I was speaking to, this is pre-COVID, their kids were struggling with depression, anxiety, and stress. And I'm like, what the hell's going on at this age for kids to be suffering so widely? Anyway, long story short, not being into the big pharmaceutical model, attuned to Reiki, much more of an alternative holistic person, I just started research and stuff. And I think when you're a parent or a carer and your loved ones are suffering, there's no stone that you don't turn under looking for a solution when there's a problem. And I was just like looking left, right, center, everywhere I could for solutions that didn't involve pharmaceutical drugs, because you go to the doctors and they're quite happy enough to hand over a packet of pills. And if you look at the contraindications of depression medication, and it says quite clearly on it, can cause suicidal tendencies.
Well, they are amazing at putting everything on the packaging, but nobody ever bloody reads it.
And that's for somebody who could possibly not really be feeling themselves. So anyway, I came across the Harmonic egg in America, and it just blew me socks off. And as with a lot of these things, I just feel like it was definitely a calling, because as a single mother, I'm, in no financial position to be purchasing an egg from America and bringing it to the UK where nobody's heard of it, nobody gets it, nobody understands it. I mean, you know, but there was
Well,
something inside of me.
I've got news for you. I think
Go
most
on.
of the people watching this video already understand it.
Yeah.
Because everybody on this channel is mad for this sort of thing, and that's why I was mad for it. That's why I came down to see you, and it was an amazing experience. So I've just got to tell the viewers, it was incredibly calming. And I had to do a 6-hour drive afterwards after I was in it, and I was away with the fairies. I really was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, so when did you first actually experience it?
So when it came into my reality, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to get this. We then broke out into a global pandemic, and I physically couldn't travel to America to try it out. But that didn't deter me. Something inside of me said, and a lot of my friends were saying, "Are you mad? You haven't even tried this, and you're going to spend all this money, bringing it to the UK." And it's just when you know,
Yeah.
So I just went ahead with it and never actually got to America because we were full into the madness then of the scamdemic. Yeah.
So, sorry, she's just she's been really, really, aren't you? Yeah. So she does distract me a little bit. So you got it shipped. Let's talk. Okay, before we talk about you shipping it over and installing it and everything, there is a woman who invented this that probably, I think that's what got me interested in it, because I think I listened to some of her videos, and I can't remember her name, but you're going to tell me. And and I thought she was fascinating because it is all about frequency, sound frequency. That's all healing is about. I'm surrounded by machines, lasers and sound machines and light machines, and it's all frequency based stuff. So let's talk a bit about the inventor, if we can.
Yeah, so Gail in America comes from an engineering background, and she's also done a bit of work in Hollywood as a producer for a film that flopped, I think, by all accounts. It was about Elvis. But anyway, by the by, she got to mid-30s and was struggling with her health, and went to the doctors, and they told her that she had a really low heart rate variability and was on the edge of a heart attack, which isn't great for somebody in your 30s, or predominantly stress-based. She'd also worn glasses all her life since she was a child, and she started going to this centre in America where she lay in a box, like a little constricted box with lights above, some kind of light therapy. I can't remember what the place was called, light box therapy or something. And she started going regularly and started noticing changes. Long story short, she went back to doctors. Heart rate variability had resumed to normal. She also had asthma. She noticed that had greatly improved, eventually disappeared. And she kept thinking, what's changed? And she was thinking, it can't be that light box therapy, surely not. Anyway, long story short, she started really diving into light therapy. She went and worked at this light box place and started sort of, getting information from the guy who owned the place. He was gifted himself. And then she started really researching into sound, light, all these different frequencies and therapies. And long story short, as I keep saying, she ended up buying the place off the guy and really remodeling the whole formula and getting a prototype for the harmonic egg. Now, the harmonic egg is not only light frequencies and sound frequencies, but its shape, I don't know that you can see very well behind me, is based on sacred geometry. So it's all designed around Tesla mathematics of 3, 6, and 9. So if you know anything about sacred geometry, and that's a big subject in itself, literally the shape itself gives off an energy in sacred geometry. And whether that's just a picture flat on paper or 3D, which is obviously going to expand the energy, it gives off a very potent energy.
Yeah, I interviewed a guy yesterday who's just building a healing center in Wales. And the whole building, no, not in Wales, in Portugal, and the whole building's being made out of sacred geometry. And this is ancient knowledge, right? Ancient knowledge.
Absolutely ancient knowledge. And that's what I think I was really drawn to the egg, in that this is nothing new. It looks very futuristic. None of the principles that we're using here are new. This is all ancient technology that's been suppressed from us. All of it, using the power of frequencies and sound and light and energy to heal the body, because that's what it's designed to do. I always say to clients, we live in a quantum universe where everything runs on light, sound waves, energy. Why would you not treat your body with exactly the same? We are swimming in a field full of information. And when you get inside the egg, quite cleverly, because of its design and its nature, it's made of wood, which is a natural resonance, and it's almost got its own individual blueprint, if you like. It's a unique piece of living material, and it's very much like being inside a guitar. The acoustics are amazing inside there. And then it creates a scalar technology. So it's working with its own energy field, the energy field that it gives off itself through sacred geometry, light frequencies, sound frequencies, and then all of that is interacting with the human, you being inside there, and you giving off your own biofield of energy. And everyone has a completely unique energy field. Like your DNA, it's completely unique. So when those two interact, we have this scalar technology effect, which is very, very potent and powerful. That's why no two experiences in the egg are the same.
And you don't actually have to go in. You can stick somebody's photograph in there and they get the same effect, correct? Because it's quantum, right?
Yeah, because we're working in the quantum field, and that's what's amazing. And again, some people just can't get their head around this. And when I explain that, people have been doing remote sessions, whether it's remote spying, viewing, healing, since the war, since the 1940s, this technology has been used. And again, what we're talking about is we're working in the quantum field where you don't necessarily have to be present. I can put somebody's photograph inside the egg and run a session, as I do quite often, for somebody who physically can't get here, and it will still have the same effect.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. I was reading a book on remote viewing a couple of years ago, and the Russians and Americans in the 60s spent more money, and this is unbelievable, more money on remote viewing than they did on any other weapon, including the alleged nuclear arsenal. It's huge, they put a huge, and in fact, there was a thing online today about, I think it was in the British newspapers, about the Russians moaning about Americans doing psychic attacks on them. So yeah, I mean, I think most people watching this channel understand this stuff, but I'm going to make you do something. I don't know if this is going to work, but can you pick up your laptop and just try and give us a tour around it? Because it is worth looking at and going around the edges and looking at it from a distance and going inside so people can actually see it. Because it's a really funky piece of furniture.
I'll try and get out the way if I can.
It's okay if you're in the camera, so you don't need to be completely out the way.
So basically it's an egg shape, as you can see. Now, there's a study by a guy called Victor Schauberg who states that the egg shape in itself is the most powerful shape in the universe because it's the most natural, symbolic of life and everything. So it's an egg shape, which is powerful. And then it has these 12 sides to it. Let me just shut the door if I can. Might be able to see it a bit better. So it's got 12 sides to it. So 1 + 2 = 3. And then when you're inside the egg, you're surrounded by 360 degrees of sound and light. 3 + 6 = 9. And then inside, I'll just try and take you inside. Oh, how do I turn this around? Let me see. Ugh, I'll have to go that way. There's a chair that you sit on. I'm going to sit on the chair, you can see. And the chair itself sits on a hexagonal platform, which is 6 sides. So we're constantly surrounded by this 3, 6, 9 numerology effect, which is having the sacred geometric effect. And then when you're inside the egg, there's a speaker on that side. You can see all the shapes still here. There's a speaker on that side. The door shuts and you are completely surrounded by sound, and light technology frequency waves. And the lights change colour depending on what we're treating. So for the first session in the egg, you'll always be on green and blue. But if you're coming for something else further down the line, it could be oranges and blues, because each colour has its own healing powers and frequencies. And the music changes. So we could be predominantly listening to water sounds for PTSD, certain sounds for depression and anxiety, certain music for brain tumours. And these are all the protocols that I have for, the harmonic egg. And people come here for all kinds of different reasons.
Well, that was my next question. How long have you been open now?
About 19 months.
So give us a list of different things that people come to you with, and really weird. The internet just disappeared. Anyway, we're back. Where were we?
Can't remember where we were now.
No, I was saying, give us a list of the kind of ailments, how time it's taken to treat, what the results have been in your experience, because you love working with this thing, don't you?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't passionate about it. What lights me up is seeing people's journeys and being with them throughout the journey. And people come, as I say, for all kinds of different reasons. Lots of anxiety, lots of depression, and lots of stress. Unfortunately, that's the reality that we've been living in for a long, long time. I do believe that will change. And I do believe that's part and parcel of what this egg is all about, lifting the consciousness and helping me, as well as lots of other people doing what they do, raising the consciousness of the planet, because it's absolutely essential. So lots of stress, trauma and anxiety, massive amounts of childhood trauma. We've all got trauma. All of us, each and every one of us have trauma. Nobody is exempt from trauma. And we have lots of protocols in the egg. So we've got protocols for childhood trauma, all this kind of thing. People with, unfortunately, on the cancer journey, Alzheimer's, restless leg syndrome. I've got somebody coming in tomorrow with a severe motor neuron. And whilst we might not be able to completely fix, there's things that we can't fix, but we can really ease the pain that people are in and bring some element of balance back into the body and the mind.
And is that the feedback you get from people?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lady once came from Birmingham with her little girl who, I think she was about 7. She looked about 4. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. She couldn't do anything for herself. And she used to put her on her knee, and the pair of them used to go in together. And then she said to me after 3 or 4 sessions, I think it was, that she'd taken her back to the physio. She had physio every fortnight. And the physio said to her, "What have you actually been doing? Because I can see some significant changes here." I did say to her, "Did you tell her you've been sitting in an egg?" But she just laughed. No.
Well, I've still got the image of you inside a guitar in my head. I don't know how you manage that.
But great to see that people feel able to come off medication. That's a common thing as well. People have been through serious trauma and are on medication for depression, and have felt strong enough after sessions to come off medication. I had a guy in yesterday who's been with me for the last 5-6 months. Again, working in the corporate world, senior level, stressed and anxious, and just wonderful to see people turning around the corner.
Well, coming off medication is one of the, I've tried to get so many people that I've known in my life to get off medication, and I convince them to do it, and then they do it for a day, and then they flip straight back to it when I'm not there, and it drives me nuts. And I'm like, you don't understand. If you don't come off it, you're going this way. My mum, for example, was on this cancer medication, and it was killing her. And she couldn't put 2 and 2 together. And she was depressed. She couldn't walk. She was in pain. She was suicidal. I said, you have to come off that. And sometimes, with something like this that people have never seen before, generally speaking, it requires word of mouth, doesn't it? Because, Alice went in this funny egg in Chester and she was right as rain. It's that kind of thing that that you need to happen, which is why I wanted to highlight it, because I wanted more people to know about it, especially the remote thing. I've already been in it once, but if I asked you to put my picture in it, what would you set it to? Would that be dependent upon what I said I was suffering with, or would it be?
Yeah, I mean, what the setting of the session is always dependent on what you're wanting from the session. So, if we're working on depression and anxiety, each piece of music is different, and each piece of music the music will be different each and every time that you come. It's never the same music, because different music activates different parts of the body. So what I always say to my remote clients is, at your end, what you need to be doing is in a relaxed state. So definitely not on your phone, definitely not
You
watching
mean at the time that you're doing the session?
Yeah, we coordinate a time to do the session to, say, for example, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So I always speak to the person on the phone before the session so that I can hear the voice, we can get the energy lines going. We also, and this is really, really important, I forgot to mention, integral part of this whole thing with the egg is we set intentions. I've been studying the power of intention for almost a year now, and it's really, really important that we set a good intention whilst you're in the egg. And if we're doing it remotely, we set an intention together over the phone, because what happens when we set intentions, we are literally releasing an electromagnetic wave into the field, which affects reality. And when two people set the same intention, well, the power's increased. There's two people releasing an electromagnetic wave into the field. And it doesn't matter where you come from. If I was a witch, it'd be called a spell. If I was a quantum physicist, it would be science. If I was religious, it would be called a prayer. It doesn't matter what label you put on it. It's all the same thing. It's information that we are releasing into the field, which has an effect on reality and manifests.
I mean, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. If two or more gather, then I shall appear. And that's Christ, consciousness, God, all of that. That's 369. That's why Tesla said, if you want to think about the universe, think in terms of 369 and frequency, because the God is a frequency, and that is the frequency. So yeah, Harmonic Egg Healing.co.uk is the website if you guys want to find out more. I'm just going to have a quick look at that site for everybody. So yeah, there's a full picture of the egg. Yeah, and it's all this kind of thing. Spiritual healing. You didn't mention that, did you?
No.
Yeah. What do you mean by spiritual healing?
We're just talking about expanding consciousness, really. And what from a selfish point of view, the most fascinating part for me is listening to what people say when they come out the egg and the journey that they've been on. Because as in quantum physics, as in the non-local realm, time doesn't exist. So when you're in that egg, you have no idea how long you've been in there. And it never ceases to amaze me when I open the door and say it's time to come out. People are like, what? I've been in here nearly an hour. That felt like 5 minutes. And that's because time just simply doesn't exist in there. Time is a man-made construct anyway. And the places people go to, because what happens essentially is the veil between this and other dimensions thins, and you go off somewhere. And I don't want to place expectations onto people as well. I always say to people, don't have an expectation when you come to the egg about what's going to happen and how you're going to feel, because you're immediately going to block the energies. Just go with the flow and see what happens. But yeah, spiritually, people get real guidance, clarity, focus on things that they need. And that's all part, if you wish, to be setting the intention.
Well, I know it's about a month since I went there, but I remember I had no problem going in there, and I was out. I think, was I snoring? I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Because that would resonate. Yeah. But when I came out, it was like a floaty. It did seem like 5 minutes. I couldn't. Was it an hour?
It's 50 minutes that you're inside the egg. 50 minutes. Yeah. 40 minutes of that is surrounded by light and sound frequencies. So the music will run for 40 minutes. And then you sit there for 10 minutes in complete silence, just while everything integrates back into the body. Some people say that 10 minutes is the most powerful for them because you can really feel the energy coursing through your body in that 10 minutes of silence.
Well, for me, it was like a deep meditation, you know, and I like going on a trip, but I can't remember where I went.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good.
Mm.
So people can get hold of you at harmonicegghealing.co.uk. If somebody's watching this and you're in the States, or what would they do?
Go on to harmonicegg.com, where all the locations of the harmonic eggs are listed throughout the world, because they are worldwide now, and just locate where your nearest is.
Or send a picture into you and do a remote job.
And do a remote session, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to add before we go today?
Oh, if you're interested in bringing a harmonic egg to your city, then get in touch with me, because I'm now the UK distributor for the harmonic egg. So if you feel like your city needs an egg, let me know.
And then we'll make some omelets. Yeah. No, it's great. I love eggs, and I love this. And it's funny because I did have plans to make. Do you remember those flotation tanks that you can go in? I was going to make one of them, but make it out of orgonite, and then pump CBD and oxygen into it, and just create this super machine. So that's why when I first saw this, I was like, that's the kind of thing I want to build. But like I said, God has different plans for all of us. I'm doing this instead, but it's part of my pleasure to bring these kind of things to light, because I think more, every town needs one of these things.
Absolutely. And what we've said is, now there's a fair few harmonic eggs across the world now. I think there's coming up to about 100 and something or other. Peru being the last, Hawaii, Peru, looking at getting 2 in Peru now. So they're expanding everywhere. And because of the energy and the sacred geometry and all of these things that we've just discussed, we found that the eggs are getting more powerful. The more there are located around the globe, all to do with energy lines, ley lines, all this kind of thing, they seem to be really getting more and more powerful, which is amazing.
Well, that makes complete sense, which is why they created a grid of, why the Atlanteans created a grid of stones everywhere, and why the Cabal created a grid of churches to lock off things on ley lines everywhere. And now we're doing it in reverse. We're claiming that energy back, so it's a really good thing. And I'm going to Hawaii, so I might pop in, see if that egg's near there, and I might go and do a little film there as well, because the kind of people that are taking these eggs on, I suppose, have you spoken to many of them apart from yourself?
Yeah,
obviously,
lots of them, yeah.
And they're all just had their imagination captured by this and gone, right, I want an egg.
Yeah, I think when you call to get an egg, you call to get an egg, and you'll know. You'll know.
It's a special club.
Yeah.
Did you have a WhatsApp group, egg owners?
The egg guardians, we call ourselves.
Guardians of the egg.
Guardians of the egg. And we have a call every week where we all meet and discuss stuff.
Do you meet and yoke around? You
Oh,
can't
God.
do a show about
These
an
are
egg.
getting worse, Mark.
Well, they've got the Easter things out in the shop. I was doing
They
jokes.
haven't.
Of course I have, yeah.
Oh my God.
Doing these jokes with the kids earlier. Well, good guys. If you're interested in the egg, get in touch with Marie. She loves talking about it. And if you've got any issues that you think the egg could help with, definitely get in touch. And even if you're not in the UK, get a remote job done. I recommend it. It was a really good experience for me, and it was really nice to be able to talk to you about it, Marie. And good luck with the rest of this year, because you're going to be busy, I think.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Take care. Take care, everybody.